Welcome to the League of Women Voters meeting for May. Our guest today is Kevin Morse from the Jefferson County Sustainability Commission. Kevin is here to tell us what the new plans are for the Sustainability Commission. Kevin, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it and appreciate the time very much. So what I thought I'd do today is just give a quick overview of the Sustainability Commission, its history and what we're all about. Tell you a little bit about our members, how I became a member, and a little bit about my background, and then spend a fair bit of time talking about our current focus, and that's the development of a climate action plan for the county. Just real briefly on the commission itself, the commission was founded back in 2014. It was driven by then Commissioner Casey Ty, and really came out of a growing interest in sustainability within the community. The purpose was to create really an information clearinghouse and an open dialogue of sustainability best practices and issues. And so we began with effectively duties to identify and articulate sustainability goals and objectives and voluntary targets for both the county and private sectors within the county. So a lot of it was geared toward being able to communicate that within the community. So we've done a lot of outreach and presentations within the community itself. One of the early actions that occurred within the commission was in 2018. We developed and released an energy action plan for the county, and that was developed out of our partnership with Xcel Energy and their Partners in Energy program. And the purpose of that really was to provide opportunities for the county to just increase awareness and access to renewable energy programs and energy efficiency initiatives. That partnership with Xcel and the Partners in Energy, or PI program, continues today and continues to be focused around both residential and commercial awareness programs, both through incentives and grants that Xcel and other community members offer for energy audits and the like. The other thing we do on an annual basis is we offer, or not offer, but we give sustainability awards to community members, and that's through nominations that we receive throughout the community. And then lastly, I wanted to make sure that it was clear we're an advisory board made up of volunteers. We're not county staff. Again, we provide advice and consultation to the county and help promote programs to the community. One more thing about the commission too that you can find on our website: we publish a year in review each year, which can be viewed or downloaded from our webpage. And I believe we'll post that webpage here throughout the presentation. But the 2020 report was just posted or released, and you can see the past years there as well for a better understanding of what we do and who we are. In terms of the makeup of the board, we're a 9-member, as I said, all volunteer board. We're currently made up of 5 men and 4 women. And of those 9 members, 4 currently work in the public space, 5 in private enterprise, and almost all have a career focus in sustainability of some form or another. some are engineers, consultants, and the like. My background is I've been an Evergreen resident for the last 24 years. So I live in unincorporated Jefferson County. I spent the early part of my career in capital markets and banking, but committed my career to sustainability and clean energy a little over 10 years ago. As part of that work, I spent several years in the biomass energy space, then about 5 years in solar. I worked for a community solar developer, Clean Energy Collective, who perhaps some of you have heard of. And then the last 3, almost 4 years in the commercial PACE or CPACE space. CPACE stands for Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, and I helped launch a firm that is a capital provider. We fund or lend money to energy efficiency improvements for commercial buildings, not just here in Colorado, but around the country. I have been a member of the commission only since last October, so I am one of the new members on the commission. The process to become a member of the commission is there's an open enrollment or open application period that begins probably pretty soon. It might be beginning of June and closes. Application period closes end of July, and that is not just for our commission, but all commissions in the county. And then the commissioners approve, review and approve new members that's announced at the end of September. So I was appointed into September. My first commission meeting was in October. Our meetings are every month. And then obviously there's a fair bit of work that goes in on a week-to-week basis, depending on what we're working on at the time. As I mentioned, our current focus is on developing and getting approved a climate action plan, and that has been ongoing for the last year. So last year, the commission was focused on spearheading and creating the adoption of what became Resolution 254 that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners last September. And that resolution affirmed the county's commitment to climate action and committed it to developing a climate action plan. And that plan now is being spearheaded by the Sustainability Commission. The steps to the Well, first, let me mention the kind of the vision of the Climate Action Plan, or CAP, as I may refer to it from time to time. But it's really to create a framework with a lens on equity and community around the 6 pillars of building energy efficiency, renewable energy, waste, transportation, water conservation, and forest health. The plan itself will be developed or led by a third-party consultant. And so the steps we're undertaking to make this happen is, first, we raise the funds to hire the consultant, obviously due to budgetary constraints from the last year due to COVID and the failure of the Tabor bill last fall. Money for a third-party consultant is pretty limited at the county. So we very successfully in a very short period of time raised over $60,000 through the community in corporate sponsorships, individual donations, and the like to hire the consultant to develop the climate action plan. We're now working on through putting together an RFP to put out for bids to be that consultant. Working with the county, that'll actually be released through the county, the RFP will. We hope to have the consultant hired probably beginning of the summer. We hope by the end of June. That might slip a little bit, but that's our goal. And then once that consultant is hired, we anticipate it being about a 6-month process to develop the climate action plan, with, again, the goal or the hope of having something to present and for approval by the Board of County Commissioners by the end of the year. The development process, as I said, is a pretty intense or a very involved process. It's going to be led by steering committees that will, and those committees will be led by county and municipal representatives. Will include technical consultants, expert participants, and then lastly, have community stakeholder meetings, each around those different pillars that I mentioned. We envision this document not being a document of mandates, but rather a statement of goals with plans on how to get there, and also have associated costs and benefits modeled and defined within the plan as well. And obviously our intent is for this plan to work within and be complementary to the county master plan and other county plans of similar nature. Once the plan is adopted, then the real work begins, and that's the implementation side. And we hope to get that underway in 2022. We're very excited about the progress we've made and the interest and commitment, not just from the county commissioners, but especially from members and citizens in the community, as well as our corporate citizens as well. So it's been really well received throughout the community. There's a lot of excitement, and look forward to keeping you posted along the way and answering any questions you have. And lastly, in terms of, you know, how, if you're interested, how you can help the commission and help with sustainability initiatives at the county, we're always interested in having volunteers with our Partners in Energy program to help spread the word and promote energy efficiency action through your HOA, your neighbors, friends, other organizations that you may be a part of. And then lastly, your advocacy, calling and writing your commissioners and other elected officials to let them know that sustainability is important to you, will really goes a long way. They love to hear from you, and that's very much appreciated by them. And with that, I will end my presentation and gladly welcome any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have a question? Lori?
Yes, your RFP for the CAP, the request for proposals. Do you have an idea about when it would be released? And when it is, I gather it would be published in some, whatever the county's location is. I don't know what that is. Could you tell me where it would be published? That we
Sure.
could see a copy if you wanted.
The drafts of the RFP are being circulated now. We hope to have that out. Our goal would be to have it out by the middle of this month. It may be the end of the month. Once it's published, where it'll be on a county site somewhere, frankly, I'm not positive exactly where on the website it'll be, but it'll be listed with wherever general RFPs get posted. Once I find that out, I can share that information with the group.
Okay.
And what do you estimate the cost on the implementation plan is going to be, and where are you going to get the funds for that?
So that's a good question. So in terms of the actual implementation, that's going to be determined through the 6-month process with the consultant and the steering committees, et cetera, I don't have a good ballpark on what those will be. Obviously, all the implementation is going to be based on a cost-benefit analysis, and benefits being beyond monetary, but environmental and health-wise. So it's too early, frankly, for me to say exactly what those costs might look like, but that'll be a key consideration in terms of what goes in the plan, I'm sure.
Kevin, how much does the community actually know about this, do you think? Is it more businesses maybe that know about it? It seems like individuals wouldn't have any idea about the commission at all. You know what I mean? The average citizen.
My own personal view is we're probably not well known. I think we are becoming known through the sustainability interested community, but the general community as a whole probably doesn't know a whole lot about us. We're still a relatively new commission, and obviously there's been a lot of work in the past, both presentations at county fairs and local events, HOA meetings, et cetera, to help get the word out. But I would guess overall, we still have a lot of work to do to help get the word out about us.
Sandy, I see you're unmuted. Do you have a question?
No.
No.
Well, a couple of things. There are so many plans in different municipalities around Jefferson County. Are those being this is for the consultant, I guess, but how are those plans going to be incorporated, because a lot of work has been done? Yes.
The municipalities are fully aware of our work on the climate action plan, and will be engaged. They're very supportive of the county plan. I would presume that they probably look at this as either complementary or supplementary to their work. And so I know a lot of the work to date with the commission has been more focused on unincorporated Jeffco. And so obviously it'll have an impact there where sustainability hasn't been addressed like it has in our municipal communities. So they're going to be a big part of the planning process, as well as county members. And the goal would be not to overlap or overburden the municipalities, but to complement what they are doing and have done.
I also live in unincorporated Jefferson County, and we just received info about 2 new developments. And I'm just wondering how on the front end, the sustainability part could be worked in, as opposed to trying to do something afterwards.
Yeah. Again, we are an advisory board. We don't get involved in, creating or enforcing county mandates or building codes or anything like that. Certainly, as part of the planning process, those departments will be involved. But yeah, in terms of things that are happening right now, we would love to, have a voice, but we can't do anything to.
You can't, but is there something we could do? I mean, I started a letter,
yeah,
I think, going to our HOA and having something along those lines, but our HOA, we don't have much going on in this development either. So
yeah,
no.
Well, certainly we could talk offline and
okay.
We can talk about things that our commission can help do and amplifying your voice. But yeah, we would love to try to help in any way we can there. And
we would love to try and help you guys too. We
yeah,
can,
thank you.
Just our meeting in the week after next will let a lot of people know that you exist.
Great. We appreciate that.
Nancy, I think you had a question.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, would you mind, Kevin, just repeating what those pillars are of the plan? And then which ones you think Jefferson County might be best positioned to make a big influence on?
Absolutely. So the 6 pillars are, let me get them in front of me so I don't miss any. Energy efficiency, which pertains mostly to the building space, renewable energy, waste, transportation, water conservation, and forest health. And of those 6, buildings and transportation within the county create the most carbon emissions. And so in terms of impact, carbon impact, focusing on those 2 primarily are going to have the biggest opportunities for reductions. But obviously water and forest health are big issues for our county, given the forest fire season we went through last year and expect to continue to see in the near future. Those are very important to the community as well.
I just saw something on House Bill 1221, I think it is. They are going to be, I don't know if it'll pass, but 1286, I'm sorry. They're trying to require buildings in the state to be surveyed to make sure what their energy consumption is over the over a year's period, and then continue to do that year by year. Covered buildings, which would really be great. I mean, that would be taking care of the old buildings. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That's right. It's a benchmarking bill that's just been introduced, and in fact, if anybody's interested, they're having their first committee hearing this Thursday on 1286, and so you'll have the opportunity to testify either in support, hopefully in support of the bill for that committee hearing. Again, that's Thursday, and yeah, what that will do is benchmark energy use within the buildings with an eye of making them much more efficient in years ahead.
You think it'll pass?
I hope so. It first has to go through the House Energy and Environment Committee. I expect it'll have their support, and then in terms of passing or even getting a vote, we'll see. But we're very hopeful about it.
Did you have something to do with creating that?
I did not. I can't take credit for that, but I'm hoping to be able to testify in support of it on Thursday.
Sandy or Kevin, does that mean it would be public record what the energy rating on the particular building would be? So when somebody buys it, they have that knowledge?
I think that's part of it.
That's part of my homework the next couple of days before Thursday is to dig into that bill.
Okay, for all of us.
To know more about it. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have all the details on hand right now.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody else? Christina.
Kevin, you mentioned other opportunities to be involved. How do the people arrange to volunteer for your committees or for your activities?
So you can contact me directly. Sandy Schuster can share my email address if you don't mind.
What sectors do you think that this is going to have the most effect on?
The climate action plan?
Yeah.
What sectors?
What sectors do you think?
Well, like I
are gonna
said, I
have the
think the biggest, well, the low-hanging fruit is, in my mind, and this is a personal opinion, but you know, again, those two sectors that really create the most emissions, and that's buildings and transportation. So addressing those, I think, will have the biggest impact on carbon. There's still a lot that can be done on the renewable energy side, both rooftop and ground mount solar. And then with, you know, the continued building expansion and growth, water is going to be an increasing issue. And so having guidelines around those issues are going to be vitally important to the sustainability of our beautiful environment. But, you know, in my mind, from a carbon emission standpoint, buildings and transportation are really where we can have the biggest impact today.
So oh, sorry, I jumped in there, Sandy.
Go ahead.
With the transportation thing, is there some sort of allocation from the state or the federal government on EV charging, you know, a network so that people, I mean, I just read that transportation, the buying of electric vehicles has gone up 42%, which still makes it pretty small.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know? So having that security that people know, first of all, a fast charger, where there's going to be some kind of network that.
Yeah. You know, I don't know of any money allocations currently that are available for that. However, I'm very hopeful if we get some form of this transportation bill or a transportation bill. It's not actually a bill yet, but if we get something like that passed on a federal level, I presume there's going to be monies allocated to state and local governments for that sort of thing. So, you know, that's a big part of making this happen is investing in the infrastructure, charging stations. There's been a lot that has been available in rebates and such for the vehicles themselves. I can also say, I don't know if it's currently going on, but Xcel Energy has had some really nice rebates for individuals and for corporate fleets for charging stations.
Oh.
So if you find the Xcel Energy rebates page, follow that pretty closely because they update and change those fairly regularly, and they don't always market or publish those very well. So I always advise to really be diligent and watch their rebate pages because they've had some really attractive rebates, not just for cars, but for charging stations as well, if you want to do something on a residential basis.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lori.
Yeah, what do you see the county being able to do related to buildings?
So that's going to be interesting. We'll see when the consultant digs into it and you know, the technical advisors. Frankly, off the top of my head, I'm not as familiar with all that they've done. I know there's been a lot of work in the past to improve those. We hired a sustainability manager within the county a couple of years ago, and he's been focused on improving the energy efficiency of the county buildings and kind of what is left to be done. I'm sure there's still a lot left to be done, but exactly what I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to the consultants and experts to dig in and figure that out.
Lori, did you mean the county buildings or did you mean buildings in general?
No, I meant buildings in general.
Oh, buildings in general.
Buildings in general is what I was focusing. You said that buildings and transportation were the two biggest things where there might be an improvement. So I wanted to get some clarification what the cap site is, where it would be on buildings and on transportation too, beyond charging stations.
So yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. So buildings in general, there's still a lot of work to be done, especially in the private sector. And that type of work can be high efficiency HVAC systems. Obviously LED lighting is huge. Day lighting, there's a lot that can be done, and it's great because we have an amazing resource right here in the county and NREL, National Renewable Energy Lab, and they have probably the highest, or at least when it was built, it was the highest efficiency building ever done in the country. So we have great examples, great research right here in the county that can be utilized as an example throughout all the buildings. So, and that technology continues to be improved through building controls and et cetera. So really optimistic about what can be done, and through programs like I'm involved in with commercial PACE financing, those improvements can be done without any money out of pocket by the building owners, and providing a net cash flow positive project right from day one. So essentially the energy savings from the improvements pay for the financing and then some.
Building codes, would you be
Building codes?
changing the county's building codes to require certain changes to make buildings more efficient?
Yes, I know that there's been a lot done with that in the region, in the state. Recently improving or increasing building codes. Boulder, as you would expect, has been leading the charge on that side. And so that's important too, is having the proper codes to ensure that buildings are built efficiently. And again, that can be done in a very cost-effective way today with new technologies. And whether that's utilized or incentives is going to be one of the things that's going to be explored. That's the mandate versus, the carrot versus stick approach on how we're going to get there.
But is it the county is it generally the county level that building codes are adopted, rather? Is that how it works?
Municipalities can adopt their own codes.
Uh-huh.
And obviously in an unincorporated Jeffco, then it's the county that that sets those building codes.
Okay.
We have a very supportive Board of County Commissioners right now.
I know it wasn't always that way.
Right, and so we're thrilled about that, and feel like the time is right to really make some progress on these initiatives. So our sponsor at the board is Andy Kerr. As I mentioned, it was Casey Ty before, and then he was term limited, and Andy took his place when he was elected in November. But all three commissioners have been really supportive and great to work with.
Sandy.
I'm just wondering, I'm kind of thinking about zoning and planning. Is there something that we, our Jeffco sustainability group, can do to, I don't know, pave the way with the planning commission, planning and zoning, writing letters and talking about, because there are two new developments close to me, I feel like, oh, I should be voicing my opinion that they need to come in ahead of where everybody else is right now, kind of
Right.
a thing. Suggestions from you? Should we be writing to them at this point, or is
Absolutely.
it too early?
Yeah, as I mentioned, your advocacy is really important, and I would encourage you to write both your commissioners and your zoning boards as well.
Okay.
Them knowing and understanding your concern, I think will be very impactful, and obviously encourage your neighbors to do the same.
Yes. And did you say that you guys are going out and talking to HOAs?
We are, yep. So we've, obviously in the last year, it's been more, it's been a remote outreach. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, we certainly, that's part of our Partners in Energy program, is to get out and educate HOAs and groups like that on what they can do to improve the efficiency of their home. And there's been some, I think there's still ongoing, some nice energy audit incentives and rebates through Excel, where homeowners can have technicians come out and do an audit on their home and recommend different improvements and they can do for their home, whether it's insulation, lighting, caulking, whatever.
Hunter Lovin did a thing with Lakewood and Red Rocks Community College. I'm trying to think, that was probably 5 years ago or more, with businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go, Red Rocks Community College trained people to go in and do audits and go through the cheapest changes they could make, all the way up to the most expensive kind of a thing. And I don't know if that's something, I thought it was a great idea and they seemed to like it, and it was free.
That's great.
I'm
not aware of that program now, but that is fantastic. One of the things, training those auditors to do the work is really important, and excited to hear that Red Rocks was involved in that. And that's the other thing too, that we always, and I personally always stress is, these types of improvements not only save the homeowners money, but they also create jobs for local contractors. So it's a real economic development boost for our community. That it's putting more money in homeowners' pockets for just, they can spend to go out to restaurants or, buy sporting goods at Dick's or whatever, as well as helping promote and create jobs for the work that's being done.
Lori?
Yeah, I remember in one of Will Tour's speeches, he was talking about transportation, and he was saying that counties could do a lot in transportation by looking at the proposed location of housing developments, saying that if people live closer to their jobs or to where they otherwise would go frequently, that this would reduce transportation distances and would be a great help in reducing greenhouse gas consequences of transportation. And I wondered if the Sustainability Commission had given any thought to the idea of looking at the climate impact of locating housing developments so as to reduce transportation distances.
Yes, to answer your question directly, I'm not aware that that's something that the commission has been involved in to date, but you're right, it is a big part of that transportation piece of it. Obviously, transitioning to electric vehicles is one thing, public transportation is another. So I think the W line that we have has been a great example of what public transportation can provide. And you see all of the apartment and condo buildings going up all along that rail line is a great example of what that can provide. So locating new developments in the right area to promote close to home working as well as easy access to public transportation is a key component.
Any other questions? Christina?
Not so much a question. Kevin, you mentioned early on that as you have the plan developed, you're going to need to come out into the community and sell it. And I feel very confident the League would be delighted to go ahead and sponsor one of those meetings.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. We will make a note of that and certainly we'll be back in touch. Take you up on that offer.
One or more, actually.
One or
right?
more. I was thinking 3,
Yeah.
1 at each end of the county.
Yeah.
Far end and in the middle too.
Very good.
Okay. Sandy, did you have something? No. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time and look forward to being in touch and working together to make this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.